In a previous video, I talked about how to use free methods to capture email addresses. Those were the tools. One of those was Aweber, which we're going to look at. But in this case, I'm going to create a landing page. And then the idea is that once we have the landing page, we're going to share that link to various social media elements and drive traffic to our landing page, which has a sign up embedded in it. Okay, so let's dive in and do that with the free Aweber tool. Now I'm using a free account. You can see upgrade to Aweber Pro. And I use this account regularly until I hit 500 subscribers, then I'll upgrade. So in here, if you go to pages and forms, you can create a landing page. Now we're going to create a landing page instead of a sign up form because we're not going to use a website. We're going to use the landing page to have an offer. And I'm not going to show you how to do all of it, but you come in to create a landing page. You can choose a template to get started with. And the more content, I think, the better. But if you're like, hey, I don't really have a whole lot of content to put on there, then just find something. And like this one's a coupon opt-in. You can preview it and then you can add your information to it. Now I'm going to go ahead and create one and then I will come back. Here I am in Aweber. This is a preview of the landing page that I've created. Now, the reason why I wanted to do a landing page instead of a form is because I'm driving people here who are, it's more cold traffic, right? So these are people who don't know me and I'm trying to get them to join my list. Now, if you're selling stuff, you can get them to join your list after they've bought something. You invite them to join your list. That's a lot easier than what we're doing. However, we're missing out on a huge audience if we only capture people who purchase from us. So instead, we want to capture people who are not purchasing from us yet and entice them to purchase from us. So in this case, they can sign up and they can get, I think I put in here 40% off, and I might change this up a little bit. I might have a couple of different ones to test out, but for now this will work and I can change it as I need to. And I'm just going to grab the link. Okay, so I'm going to publish this and then I'm going to grab the link and then we're going to start to put it into different social media platforms. I've hit publish and this is the page URL. Now I'm using Aweber's actual subdomain information, so it's completely free. I haven't created another domain or anything, even though I do have one. I set that up for the email itself. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to hit copy. So that way I have this copied and I'm actually going to put it into a notepad so I have it for reference. Now we're going to go ahead and even though they have Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn on here, I'm going to show you how to do this because there's multiple places that you can put it on every platform. So I'm going to hit up the most popular social media platforms, and then there's more. If you're interested, you can hop into the Facebook group and ask questions. The first social media site that we're going to look at is Pinterest. Now, if you remember from just a moment ago, I did copy this particular link here. So I'm going to make sure that it's copied in my little copy section. I'm on one of my Pinterest accounts. Now, I do not have a Pinterest account dedicated to my particular Etsy shop, and that's where I have everything signed up. I also sell through another site, so I just want them to sign up so I can direct them to wherever they need to buy. So in here you can see that this actually gets, I have 109.3 thousand monthly views, so I get quite a bit of views. Now you can see here, this one goes to a website, chattyreview.com. It's still an existing website and everything. I don't have much content on it. I don't use it a lot, but I have a lot of traffic to different elements. So here I'm going to show you, this one is from your settings, but you can see if I say more that I've typed this in here and there's actually a non-clickable link in here. So let's go ahead and go to our settings and you can see where I have that. So this is I have tips and resources, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to change this to looking for cotton fabric, get 40% off when you sign up to my email list. And I can put that there. Now, this is an ugly link, and I would probably put that through a link cloaker of some sort, but for the sake of simplicity, let's just keep it there. Now, Chatty Review is right here. That's the website. That's already linked and approved. So if you have a site that you haven't connected, you can connect it and you can include it here. You can actually have more claimed accounts. But more than likely, people aren't going to click here. They're not going to click in your about section, but you might as well have it there. So we're going to go ahead and save this. And then you can see when I go to my profile that it is right here when it says more. Now, I don't know why it always seems to like block that off. So people literally have to click on more to see it. You could see that before there was a lot more content. And then right when it got to the link, it had the more on it. That seems to be something Pinterest is doing. They want to push the traffic to the verified link, which is fine, right? So if they go there, that could be the link that you do. If you want to do a landing page straight to your page, that's a benefit on Pinterest. Pinterest has its own strategy, right? So we're just doing this to try to get the link as many places as possible. Now, the other thing that you can do on Pinterest is create a pin. You can say create pin, and you can have an image here, or you can go to here and save it as it is, right? So we can save this. I'm actually, since I'm logged in, I can go in here. So let's go to crafting news and projects. And so now it's going to save it to that board. I can say visit. Now, the disadvantage to doing it the way I just did it is that you don't get to edit the content. So it's just whatever it saves. This one says sign up to stay informed of the best deals for Crafty Twins fabric, where you can find cotton fabric by the yard. I set that up on the AWeber landing page, so I can change that out. But look at my image is not helpful for that. So I would probably want to have a dedicated image and go to the create and create pin and have an image, and I can put it on different boards and I can put the link in there. So here's the destination link. I could put the destination link, save 40% off cotton fabric when you sign up to the Crafty Twins fabric email list. And then we'll save 40% off cotton fabric. Now, I'm going to have to create an image that fits the size and I can publish it and everything else. However, this is a great way. Again, you can mix this up, have different images. You can do dozens of pins back to the same link, but just make sure your image and your content and your boards are different. So this is one way that you can drive traffic back to your opt-in list, your landing page that you created just from Pinterest, completely free. You haven't paid a dime for this. So now let's hop into the next one. Here we're in YouTube and I've loaded up a video. It's 9 seconds long, so it's not like it's wonderful or anything. I just did something quick so I can show you that the number one place that you can put your link is in the description of a video. Now, if you're like, hey, I already know that part, there is a second place for YouTube that you can put your link. So let's go ahead and hop over to the settings and take a look at that. So the part we're going to be editing is the about section. This is just one of my channels that I'm going to show this to you on, is that you can see here I have a link. It's not clickable in the about section. But right here, these are clickable and you have a limited amount of space here, but you could theoretically add in your initial offer right there. So we're going to come back. We're customizing the channel. So channel customization. And here you can see this is where you change your handle at. And then you can come down here and see that there's links. Now this first one right here is where you can add in the name that is visible. So you could say 40% off first purchase. And then we would swap that out. And I'm going to say publish so we can see how well it works. Sometimes you have to play with this first part. So let's refresh it. And you can see 40% off first purchase. And now when they click on that, it takes it to your landing page. Now you have to understand how exciting this is, right? So this is very neat because this part right there is your call to action. Now, a lot of people want to put, oh, shop now or something, but you want to have your call to action that people definitely want. At this point, we have our video description. We have our about if you want to put it in there. And we also have it right here on the banner, right? So you've got your call to action in multiple places. Where else can we do it here in YouTube? Ooh, community tab. If you do not have the community tab, you can get it. It's not a matter of the number of subscribers anymore. It's about just verification process. So you just have to go in and claim it essentially. So in here, you can come in here and add other things in here as well. So let's just come in here and we're going to say something like, want to save on cotton fabric. Check out this shop, Crafty Twins fabric, and save on your first purchase. Now, of course, you want to be better about this, but you can put it right there. We're going to go ahead and post that so we can see it. I'm going to say view, and there it is right there. So we have now very solid places where we can put the link in multiple places where different people can see it at different times depending on what they're doing. So that is YouTube. Let's hop into the next one. Let's take a look at Instagram. Now, Instagram's a little different because a lot of what you have to do is on mobile. So I have my mobile device streaming to my computer screen so you can see it here. And this is the Eason Twins account. Now, we just started this, so that's why there's like no activity on it. But you can see here where it says edit profiles. I'm logged in and I'm going to click edit profile and I have the name, the username, and here's the bio. And then you can add in links. If you click links, you can add a link here and then a Facebook link if you want to. So I'm not going to change this because I just set it up, but that's where you would put it. And so if you come back here, you can see that I have this. So there's the description with the arrow here. So if we're using the exact same model we've been using, we would put in a description here about, save 40% on your first purchase, check out the offer here, whatever, whatever you decide to write, and then have the arrows, and then you would have your link to your landing page here. That is more important to have a specific call to action. Like this is kind of general, but that's because our call to action is to go to this site. This is our influencer shop on Amazon, and that's where we want to drive people for this particular brand. So our call to action is to drive traffic to that page. If your call to action is to go to your e-commerce site, it's too general. Right now, ideally, if we had any way to say, hey, save money or get specials, which we will eventually have get some sort of savings, we can change that out. But that's how you do that. Now, in addition to the bio link, so this would be your link in bio, you can also do something called post responses. So you can basically use Instagram direct message to send links to people. And if you automate it, it makes it a lot easier. Now, that's another way to do it, but it takes a little bit more setup. So we're going to talk about that when we talk about Messenger and Instagram DM automation. So those are two ways that you can use Instagram. When you build up your followers, you can have additional ones as well. Now let's jump into the next platform. Yes, Facebook is one that I still do recommend that you participate in if you're sharing information. The reach on Facebook is minimal, but there are some strategies that you can use, which we talk about in other videos, to increase your reach. And this one, let's just talk about where you can post that link. Now, you can see right here, I have a YouTube video that I've linked to. This is my personal profile, right? So let's look at, you can do personal profile, you can have a Facebook page, you can have your own Facebook group, and you can share posts or links in Facebook groups that allow you to do that. They grant permission for them. So in this case, it's a personal profile. The way you do this is the same, whether it's your personal profile, your page, or your group. You're going to have a post of some sort, and then you can do it a couple different ways. One is just to share the link here. Another way is to put this in instead of putting the link directly in here. So this is linked to the exact page, right? To this particular YouTube video. This one links to the Art of Living event. Now you could instead just have like an image here on your personal page. You can say comment below and then you can individually message them. Or you could put in the comments the link. Facebook's gotten savvy to that, so they do know that if you put a link in the comments, they're looking for that. Now, something you can do on a page, which is different, and again, we'll talk about this when we talk about messenger automation, is that you could say discount in the comments and I'll send you the code. And so they say discount and then you use automation to reply to them. That is one way to basically keep them on Facebook and not take them off until they get into Messenger. So again, that's automation that we'll talk about. So again, Facebook is a really good way to still reach people, even though it's minimal. But if you get it out there and you get out there regularly, because you got to post regularly on Facebook, then you have a really good chance of getting in front of people and capturing those emails from Facebook. Since we're talking about Messenger, let's discuss that one now. It used to not really be much of a social media platform, but Messenger has become an increasingly used tool by your customers. So the way you want to do this is either using a chatbot, which I use one, and I'll talk about that in some other videos, or you can just go in and edit the automation. some simple automations. So if you look at some of the automations they have available, this is specifically for Messenger, by the way. There's Instagram options as well. It's all managed through Meta. It depends on how you have it connected. So I'm not going to do a detailed how to here. But what I do want to show you is that you can literally just say create automation and do whatever you want here in the Facebook business. It's only for pages though. You have to understand that it's only for pages, not your personal profile and not for groups. It's just for pages. So you can do that straight through Meta without getting a software program, or you can use a software program like I do. So that is Messenger. And basically, you either set up an automation so that when somebody messages you, it gives them the link, or you set up a series of sequences so that it gives it to them at some other time. So you have to play with these and decide what you want. That automation is something that's a lot more detailed. So we're going to discuss that in a different video. Now, Twitter at the time of this recording is undergoing some massive changes since Elon Musk took over. So take this with a grain of salt and know that this could change. The two main areas that you can use for links in Twitter is in your bio and then, of course, in tweets. So if you want to put it in your bio, you just hit edit profile. If you have a professional account, I believe. I don't have a personal account, I have a professional account. So see, edit professional profile right here. But here's a website where you can put it. So check your profile. If you don't have a website section, that's because you have the wrong profile type. So when you just put that in there, you would put your link to your opt-in. Make sure you put in the bio some information that points them to that, and then they would click on that link in your bio. You can also do just like you would do for Pinterest, where you can share different tweets over time and use a Twitter strategy, of course, and share the link occasionally on your post. You can see I actually use this just for automation, and that is it. I use it literally for the SEO value, and I do get clicks back to my properties from Twitter. So using the automation is useful, but there is a better strategy over time. Now that's Twitter for you. Let's hop into the next one. We're to our final platform that we're going to cover, and that is LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn and Facebook are similar in that you can have a personal profile, you can have a page, and you can have a group and or participate in a group. Pages and groups are not as established as they are on Facebook, so I'm not going to dive into those. They're similar. There are permissions required to post in groups. I've had a page on LinkedIn for years. I use it for automation, and I have hardly any momentum on it. So I'm not a huge fan of LinkedIn, if I'm being honest, but it is an opportunity, especially if you're business to business. My problem is every time I get on, I'm getting messages trying to sell me something. However, you can use this, especially if you're business to business, to drive traffic to that opt-in page. So here I am. The two main places on your personal profile are going to be in your bio and on a post. Posts are simplistic, so I'm not going to go over that, but I'm going to talk about how to add it into your bio. So you can see here I have a link in the bio right here. And if I want to change this, or if I want to change any of the links in here, what I need to do is say edit public profile and URL. So I put that takes you to here, and then you need to hit edit contents. And when you hit edit contents, you need to click contact info. And when you do that, it brings up a bunch of personal information, which I don't want to show. But you scroll down and you have website options. So you can have this one, I have one here and one here, and you can add as many as you want. Now they don't all show up in that spot. They all show up kind of weird on here. So you have to play with it, because I've noticed that depending on when you create your LinkedIn account, your profile can look a little different. In fact, I've had to change mine a couple of times over the years. I've had this for many years and I've had to change it. So just you have to play with it a little bit and see how yours will come out, and just click around and find it. But that's generally how you can do it. And so you can come in here and add another one and say other, and then have the URL. It is better if you include it as a call to action somewhere. So if you want to do the about section here, right here, you can see this is a non-clickable link, but it is there. So somebody could copy and paste this if they wanted to. And you can see there's quite a few of them in here. So if somebody was reading this, they could copy and paste it over. So that is LinkedIn in a nutshell. Again, I'm not a huge fan of LinkedIn, so there's probably more opportunities on here if you're business to business. But that is an overview of how you can get email addresses from LinkedIn. Now you have an idea of how you can capture email addresses from different social media platforms. I haven't covered all of them. So if you're interested in others or you have questions, just ask in the comments, or you can hop into the Little Biz Resources Facebook group, and that link will be in the comments.